Alabama is home to the Lynching Museum, a memorial to the memory of the victims of lynching in America. The Council on American-Islamic Relations took a trip to the Lynching Museum recently. It affected them greatly. In fact, they are claiming the mantle of the civil rights movement of the 1960s. A mosque burning is equivalent to the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing.
We have the mosque that was firebombed in Florida. Mosques can't even be built. Communities can't even get a permit before they're being terrorized.
They named their film about their trip to the Lynching Museum In Their Footsteps. Because Muslims are not only the new Jews, they are the new blacks as well.
Black Lives Matter is our matter. Black Lives Matter is our campaign.
However, there is reason to doubt CAIR's sincerity. Next door to Alabama is the great state of Georgia, which has its history as well. For example, Stone Mountain was where William Simmons resurrected the Ku Klux Klan in 1915. But all of that is of another day. Today, Georgia is home to things like the Center for Civil and Human Rights. The renowned Martin Luther King was from Georgia. But although black Americans are no longer lynched in the streets with the aid of corrupt police officers, there is more than one way to skin a cat. Today, black Americans have their reputation lynched by so-called allies with the ready and enthusiastic support of the media. This is exactly what happened in Georgia when the Council on American-Islamic Relations and Municipal Court Judge Sharon Dickson crossed paths.
Muslim rights group is filing a complaint against a Sandy Springs judge. It says she made inappropriate comments to a man in her courtroom. News since 5 o'clock, Channel 2's Mike Pachenik is live in Sandy Springs with what a higher court had to say about the judge's words. Mike?
Jovita, this all started with a fender bender here in this intersection. It ended with one of the drivers going to jail accused of disorderly conduct. And when he went to court, he says he was shocked by what the judge said to him. Faizan Azizan is pleading for mercy in the back of a Sandy Springs cop car after officers arrested him for disorderly conduct.
The whole time I was just like in a state of shock and crying.
The Iranian political refugee fled torture in his home country and was experiencing PTSD. Moments earlier, the Uber driver's own fiance had crashed into his car at this intersection. You were hurt.
Yeah, I was hurt.
Azizan told me he got into an argument with the ambulance driver who wanted to take him to a hospital that didn't accept his insurance. When he got to court,
I was mistreated, absolutely mistreated by the comments.
According to this transcript of the hearing we obtained, after Azizan told City Judge Sharon Dickson he was an Iranian political refugee, she unloaded on him, saying, quote, "I know where you came from. Women don't mean anything. You need to go to jail. You are despicable to me." She sentenced him to 5 months behind bars.
It goes without saying that I did not get a fair trial.
Attorney Jason McClendon appealed that sentence. Last week, a Fulton County judge upheld it, but in her order noted, quote, "The comments cited in the present case were clearly intemperate and inappropriate."
I believe the justice is for Mr. Azizan's case to be reversed.
The staff attorney for Georgia's chapter of Council on American-Islamic Relations agrees and says Dickson should face disciplinary action.
Our justice system guarantees the right to a trial devoid of any prejudice or discrimination, and that's something that didn't happen in this instance.
I reached out to the city of Sandy Springs hoping to hear back from the judge. We instead got a statement from Mayor Rusty Paul that says in part, quote, "I would not have said those comments and I disagree with them, but the Superior Court of Fulton County found that the judgment rendered by Judge Dickson was not improper." Reporting live in Sandy Springs, North Fulton County, I'm Mike Pachenik, Channel 2 Action News.
The first thing we notice when comparing the court transcript with Mike Pachenik's storytelling is the absence of Miss Thurman. Thurman is a pivotal character in this story. She was Faisal Azizan's Uber passenger. Faisal Azizan picked up Miss Thurman after he took his girlfriend's car without asking. He then began quarreling with his girlfriend over the phone while leading her on a car chase through the city streets. This all ended when the girlfriend rammed her car into the Azizan vehicle, injuring Miss Thurman. Azizan, who had been threatening to kick Miss Thurman's ass, now followed Thurman into the waiting ambulance The ambulance asked the police to remove Azizan.
You were hurt.
Yeah, I was hurt.
And when the police decided to arrest him for disorderly conduct, he resisted.
You were hurt.
Yeah, I was hurt.
2 police officers were required to cuff Azizan and drag him to the squad car and push him in. Once at the hospital, Azizan refused to speak to anyone without a Farsi interpreter. This is despite the fact he's taking a nursing program at Georgia State taught in English.
You were hurt.
Yeah, I was hurt.
So this is what Judge Dickson saw when Azizan tried to defend himself in her court. Azizan's disregard for other people was on full display here. Both Dickson and the city attorney were appalled. Azizan tried to explain this as cultural differences.
The Iranian political refugee fled torture in his home country and was experiencing PTSD.
During the sentencing phase, Azizan interrupted the judge and gave her attitude. She said that she knew where he came from, women did not mean anything. Although she did not mention Iran, she did not have to. Azizan has a problem with women. He interfered with his girlfriend's life, with Miss Thurman's life, and has 2 prior convictions for domestic abuse, one of them in the presence of a child. The pivotal moment came when Dickson asked Azizan if he would like to apologize to Miss Thurman. And that was it. Apparently no amount of prompting was going to get Azizan to even so much as mention Miss Thurman's name. Dickson was not talking about his religion. She was talking about the fact that he almost got someone killed. Whether Sharon Dickson should have said what she did is for her superiors to decide, not CAIR. And despite receiving a favorable decision for their client on appeal, and Judge Dickson stepping down from the bench to take a lower-paying job in another city, CAIR had the media pursue her there as well.
A judge is stepping down from her job in one local city. She is accused of making comments about a man's religion during a court hearing. The city has now overturned that man's sentence. Channel 2's Mike Pachenik first broke this story last month. He's live at Dunwoody City Hall today. And Mike, a Muslim rights group is demanding the city of Dunwoody part ways with that judge.
Yeah, Jovita, this week, Sandy Springs leaders appointed their municipal judges, and Sharon Dickson was no longer among them. There's now a push for Dunwoody to push her off the bench here, too.
I'm extremely happy.
Fazal Azizan reacting to word Sandy Springs has agreed to overturn his 5-month jail sentence imposed by now former city judge Sharon Dickson.
This is what I was expecting from the justice system, of American justice system.
We first told you about how police arrested the Uber driver for disorderly conduct last fall after a fender bender on Hammond Drive. He'd gotten into an argument with an ambulance driver who wanted to take him to a hospital that didn't accept his insurance. When Azizan interrupted Dickson during his sentencing, she unloaded on him, saying, quote, "I know where you came from. Women don't mean anything. You need to go to jail. You are despicable to me."
I was attacked based on my religion, based on my nationality.
After our story aired, the city agreed to overturn the sentence, and last week Dickson sent an email to the mayor asking him not to consider her for another term. Quote, "I request I be taken off the calendar for the remainder of the year. Again, thanks for the opportunity to serve."
That makes me extremely happy that she won't be able to harass or verbally attack anybody else like me.
The Council on American Islamic Relations of Georgia has sent a letter to the city of Dunwoody demanding they remove Dickson from the bench here, but a spokeswoman for the city told us at this point they have no plans to do so. We did reach out to Dickson via email to get her side of the story and all of this. We didn't hear back. Live in Dunwoody, DeKalb County, I'm Mike Pachenik, Channel 2 Action.
This story is remarkable because it is yet another example of CAIR defaming people. CAIR had a TV news station craft a fraudulent story. CAIR did this to a sitting judge. CAIR attacked the judge twice on TV. And finally, we have a court transcript that we can compare with WSB's reporting, if you want to call it that. CAIR gets on the TV almost every day, and they use their influence to have the media defame, slander, and hurt people. In the words of the executive director of CAIR Georgia,
enough is enough.